Every damn year, it's the same choice. Glock this, Seg that, Walther if they're feeling fancy. And yep, those guns sell, but here's the truth nobody wants to admit. Some of the best pistols on the market never even make it into the conversation. They sit in cases, ignored, laughed at, or written off as not good enough. But I've run enough rounds to know better. Some of these so-called throwaways, they don't just hold their own, they flat out embarrass the pistols everyone brags about online. And the crazy part is, dealers can't even get them away half the time. So today, we're shining a light on the forgotten iron. 10 pistols that deserve way more credit than they get. Guns that actually run, actually shoot, and might just save you cash while still outlasting the hype machines. And trust me, when we hit number 2, most of you are gonna sit back and say, wait, I've never even heard of that one. I bought the SK100 as a backup gun. That's it. No expectations, just needed something cheap, 9mm, striker fired with an optic cut. Found one online for under $400 and figured, what the hell, if it sucks, I'll sell it. When it showed up, I almost sent it back. Heavy frame, sharp edges, looked like something built in a garage, but I took it out to the range anyway, and that's where everything flipped. First few rounds, it felt weird. Heavier slide, all metal frame, different balance. But once I settled in, I started shooting tighter than I had all week. The follow-ups were smoother, there was no flex, and the recoil stayed low and flat. I ran 2 full boxes through it without thinking. No malfunctions, no hiccups, no weird trigger quirks, just quiet performance. It doesn't look slick and doesn't even feel modern, but I'll be damned if it wasn't one of the best shooting striker-fired pistols I'd ever owned, and I've got stuff on the shelf that costs twice as much. Nobody ever talks about this thing, but if you know what you're holding, you know real quick. This ain't some budget beater. It's the one I underestimated the most and trusted the fastest. The PX4 Storm Compact is one of those pistols that never got the love it probably deserved. Beretta tried something different with the rotating barrel system, aiming for softer recoil and smoother cycling. On paper, it was a step forward. In practice, it got buried. The timing hurt it. Striker-fired pistols were taking over, and nobody wanted a striker-fired DASA gun unless it was a classic like the 92. The PX4 looked different, felt different, and shooters wrote it off as oddball. Shops let them sit, most buyers walked right past it. But here's the truth. The gun worked. The rotation kept recoil tame, accuracy stayed consistent, and it carried smaller than people expected from a Beretta. It was reliable, durable, and priced fair, but it just couldn't fight the tide of Glocks, SIGs, and M&Ps. Today, it's practically invisible. You rarely hear anyone bring it up unless they owned one. That's exactly why it belongs on an underrated list. The PX4 Storm Compact never failed, the market just moved on without it. My wife asked me what gun she should keep at home while I was out late. Not for fun, not because she wanted to, just in case. That's not a conversation you plan to have, but we had it. I looked around at what I had and realized that most of it was either too bulky, too light, or too temperamental. I'd used the FN 509 before. Full size, solid gun, it also bit big, but I knew they made a mid-size version, so I picked one. No upgrades, just stock. Took it to the range that week. I wasn't looking to shoot it to be impressed, just needed one to see if it'd run, and it did. It was a cold day with my hands stiff, and I didn't even clean it. But regardless, no issues whatsoever. It was easy to rack, the trigger wasn't pretty, but it didn't jerk around either. I didn't feel the need to tweak anything, and that's what I knew it'd do. It's not something you'll see guys showing off with. Most folks don't even mention it unless you bring it up first. But for what I needed, something she should grab, chamber it, and pull without even thinking, this was it. And I've never second-guessed it ever since. And now, number 1, I bought it expecting junk, but after shooting it, I trusted more than guns twice the price, and you'll see why. The 1911 has always been tied to history, to legends, to American names stamped in steel. That's why most shooters glance at a Turkish-made 1911 and move on. Tisas isn't Colt, isn't Springfield, and for a lot of folks, that alone makes it a non-starter. But the 1911 Duty in 9mm is exactly the kind of pistol that proves reputation isn't everything. It comes in plain, no frills, all business. A forged frame, clean lines, and a build that feels sturdier than the price tag suggests. No chrome, no polish, just a service pistol built like it's supposed to be carried, not worshipped. The market never put this gun on a pedestal. Dealers stocked it, but it was always in the corner, overshadowed by brands with shinier logos. Yet the ones who picked it up found a 1911 that cycled clean, stayed accurate, and didn't punish the wallet. That's what makes it underrated. It's not a collector's piece or even a hype gun. It's proof that even a budget maker can deliver a 1911 that stands tall if people would just look past the name stamped on the slide. I used to chase upgrades like a lunatic. I'd buy a Glock 19, then start stacking on parts. A new trigger, barrel, connector, sights, stipple job, you name it. By the end of it, I had sunk $900 into a $600 pistol, and it still didn't shoot how I wanted it to. One day, I was just fed up, took the whole Frankenstein build out to the range, and something just fell off. Recoil impulse was weird, and the reset felt muddy. All that money and time, and I still didn't trust it. A guy 2 bays down overhears me cussing at my pistol. He walks over and goes, "You ever shoot a Shadow Systems?" I'd heard the name, thought it was some overpriced hype. He hands me his MR920. I run 1 mag and no fluff, no jams, no weird trigger wall. Just flat recoil and natural fit. Just flat recoil and natural feel like I'd been chasing for years. I sold a build that week and bought the Shadow. I didn't want to like it, but here's the thing. It gave me exactly what I was trying to force out of a Glock. People skip these because they think it's all marketing, but if you've ever wasted time building a perfect pistol, this is the one you should be buying instead. The first time I handled a CZP-10C, I didn't even know what it was. No joke. I thought it was some aftermarket Glock clone, and this was back in 2018. I was helping a buddy of mine run a pistol skills workshop. One of the students brought this compact, squared-off pistol with forward serrations, clean grip texturing, and no branding I recognized right off. We get to the rapid-fire drill, and this guy runs it like he's done it 100 times. Fast, clean center hits. I walked over after and said, "What is that thing?" He just says, P10C. It's a CZ. Now I knew CZ made hammers. I'd shot the 75, SP01, and all that. But Striker Fired didn't even know they were in that game. He lets me shoot it after class. Right away, the wall, the break, the reset, it all felt tuned like it'd been cleaned up, even though it was bone stock. Recoil was light, sights tracked easy, and the grip might be the best in the whole Striker Fired world. I've owned one since then, and it still never gets mentioned. Everybody talks about Glock, SIG, or HK. Meanwhile, the P10C sits there, better in half the ways, but buried by branding. It's underrated because people just don't know what they're missing. Alright, we're getting into the top 3 now. These next ones are the pistols I trust over any Glock or SIG any day. I didn't buy the STR-9 compact because I wanted to. I bought it because I had to. 2 summers ago, I'm on a trip down south, visiting family in the middle of nowhere. It was just on that occasion I left my carry gun back home, the first time in years I didn't have something on me. Pretty stupid. Hit a local shop in town. Only 3 pistols in stock under $500. One of them was a STR-9 compact. Never shot one and never even considered it. Made in Turkey stamped on the side, weird branding, felt like buying a no-name gas station snack, but I needed something, so I grabbed it. Took it out behind my cousin's barn with 2 boxes of ammo. First few rounds, I was waiting for something to go wrong, like the slide to drag, the trigger to feel mushy, something. But nope, it just shot straight. Recoil was soft, the sights were dead on, and by the end of the second box, I trusted it more than some guns that I paid twice as much for. Carried it the rest of the trip. Didn't even think about it once, and that's a good sign. Most people skip over SAR because it's too unknown, but if you're in a bind or just want something solid without breaking the bank, this one won't let you down. When Mossberg announced they were making a gun, I rolled my eyes. Shotguns, sure, but a carry gun didn't sound right. Felt like one of those Me Too releases, something just to say they were in the game. Fast forward a bit, I'm at this small town gun show, middle of nowhere. Bunch of tables with the usual used Glocks and oddball revolvers. One guy's got 3 brand new MC2C pistols lined up. Nobody's looking at them. I ask, how's that Mossberg shoot? He shrugs and goes, better than it should. Didn't buy it then, but it stuck in my head. 2 weeks later, I find a used one, barely fired, and the guy over there needed cash, so I grabbed it. Took it to the range that weekend and ran a full box of steel case through it. Not a single hiccup. The trigger had that short snap I didn't expect, and the grip felt locked in. Slight serrations were deep and easy to rack, even with sweaty hands if you could believe that. I've been carrying it off and on ever since. Just a gun that works and disappears under a hoodie. Nobody talks about the MC2C, which is why it's still cheap, but I'll tell you right now, it outshoots half the guns that cost $200 more. The first time I shot the Masada, I didn't even want to. This kid at the indoor range, maybe early 20s, new tattoo, loud as hell, he's 2 stalls down, popping off rounds like he's filming a movie. I'm trying to sight my M&P and he keeps yelling, "Dude, this Masada is smoother than a SIG." I finally look over and ask, "You done?" He laughs and says, "Wanna try it?" Now listen, I don't usually take gun advice from kids wearing neon ear pro, but whatever. I took one mag, mostly just to shut him up, and damn it, it was good, really good. Trigger was cleaner than I expected, the reset was sharp, the grip angle felt natural, and I was hitting better than I had with my carry gun. I handed it back and just nodded. I went home that night a little annoyed, not because the gun surprised me, but because I'd been ignoring it for months. Didn't like the name, didn't like the look. That was dumb. The Masada is still in stores, still priced right, and still better than half the polymer guns getting hyped to death. I bought one 2 weeks later, quietly. Quick question. What's your go-to underrated pistol? Drop it in the comments now. Let's see how many people know the real hidden gems. I was taking a hand class a few years back. 2-day course out in Central Texas. Hot as hell, blowing dust everywhere. My Glock 17 was running fine on day 1, but by mid-day 2, my groups were drifting, hands were sore, and honestly, I was just off. We get to this timed drill. 6 plate, 3 mags, under stress. I go up, run it, and decent time. And then this guy Joel, skinny dude in a ratty ball cap, steps up with this beat to crap Canik TP9 SF. He clears the drill faster than anyone all weekend. Smooth, flat, clean shots like he was just walking through it. I walked over and said, "Alright, what the hell is that thing?" He laughs and goes, "It's a Canik, paid $300. Wanna try?" I ran a mag through it later that afternoon. Trigger felt like a competition rig. Recoil was softer than mine. Even after 2 days of shooting, I felt like I could have kept going with that thing. And here's the part that stuck. He never even cleaned it. Said he had just been dumping it in a gym bag. That kind of gun shouldn't have performed like that, but it did, and it still does. People skip over the SF now. Too busy chasing louder models. But this one, it's the real pillar. Lower priced, proven, and still in stores. You'd be smart enough to grab one by yourself while they're still easy to find. I never paid attention to the Ruger American. I remember seeing one at a shop near the gas station. Big damn grip, long slide. Didn't even bother asking to hold it. Figured it was one of those throwaway models Ruger tried once and forget. But then my buddy Clint shows up at the range with one. He's an old Beretta guy, so I raise an eyebrow. He says, picked it up on clearance. Figured I'd beat on it for a bit. He hands it over. Things got lint on it. Says it had been in his truck all winter. I laugh and load some steel case I had rolling around in my ammo box. We didn't oil it, didn't even check it, just loaded and ran it. I shot the first mag, expecting it to choke, and lo and behold, it didn't. It just fired and cycled clean. The trigger wasn't great, but it broke consistently. I run another mag, and then another, no hiccups whatsoever. I look at Clint and go, alright, that ain't bad. Next day, I went back to my shop. That same dusty Ruger I'd been walking past for months was still sitting there. It was tagged $399, and I bought it. Now it lives under my seat in a nylon holster with a flashlight and some gloves. It's still sitting there in the truck and covered in dust, but when I need it, it fires damn good. Nobody looks at these. Hell, I didn't either, till I saw it run circles around my carry gun. Now stick around, because the gun I carry in my truck daily is coming up soon. It's so underrated, most shops won't even bother showing it to you. Alright, let's kick it off with a name that most folks skip right over. Stoeger. Yes, I know it's not exactly a head turner. When people hear that name, they think of shotguns or something that their cousin bought once because it was on clearance at some farm store. But the STR-9? That gun surprised the hell out of me. Glock performance without that Glock price tag, the Stoeger STR is basically a hidden gem. Looks like a Glock and runs like one too, but the difference? You're not paying for a name, you're paying for something that just works and doesn't make any drama. Now I'm not saying that it's perfect, the trigger's a little spongy and the slide finish isn't going to impress anybody, but it runs and just keeps running. I handed mine to a buddy a while back, because at that time he was carrying some beat up SCCY, said it was good enough for self-defense. That's when I told him, try this and tell me that again. We ran a couple of mags through it, steel case, junk ammo, some of it I wouldn't even trust in a high point. This baby just kept cycling through all of them. The trigger surprised him and the recoil was manageable. After that, he just looked over and said, man, this thing ain't bad. And I said, exactly, and nobody's talking about it. That's what this gun is. It's the one thing sitting in the case nobody asks to see, but when you shoot it, you realize it's got no business being that cheap. If you're tired of overpriced plastic with logos that do all the talking, this one's worth the look. Alrighty, before we close this baby out, I'm gonna mention one more, Ruger Max 9. I just happened to pick one up last winter. Wasn't planning to, just tagged along with a buddy who was buying ammo. Saw it behind a counter, used, no box, looked like someone carried it and then dumped it. Sales guy says, it still shoots clean, and I said, fine, let's see it. Took it out that weekend, ran 2 boxes of steel case through it. No jams, no weird recoil, just worked. It's not winning any beauty contests, but I've carried it since then, and that should be enough to tell you. The SD9 VE is one of those pistols that slipped quietly out of the market without anyone making noise. Most shooters dismissed it as a budget filler, a stopgap pistol that sat between the Sigma and the M&P line. That's exactly why it never built hype. It was designed to be cheap, basic, and reliable enough for people who just needed a gun. The truth? That's also why it deserves a mention. It never promised match triggers, modular frames, or anything flashy. What it gave was a polymer pistol that ran steel case ammo, stayed simple, and did its job without crying for attention, and for a long time, it was sitting on shelves at a price point that almost nobody else could touch. Plenty of owners still keep them around in glove boxes or nightstands, and you won't hear much bragging because it was never meant to be a bragging gun. The SD9 VE wasn't loved, wasn't hyped, and now it's gone. But when people talk about pistols that were underrated in their time, this Smith & Wesson has to be a part of the conversation. You've just seen 10 pistols that almost nobody gives the time of day, but they damn well should. They don't scream for attention, they just work. And in a market full of hype, sometimes that's just the smartest choice you can make. Now, I want to hear from you. Which of these sleepers do you think deserves more respect? Or maybe you've got one in the safe right now that should have made the list. Drop it down below. I'll be checking the comments. I'm Steve, this is Guns N' Roses, and I'll catch you in the next one.